after mine. So whoever edits has got 10 minutes of blank
Why can I not hear you?
space. Can you hear me? Okay.
How about now? Can't hear you.
Hear me now? I hate using my phone for audio. It's not ideal, but I'm just trying to make sure Alex, we can hear him. I'm just not sure he can hear us. Okay, perfect.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me okay? Thank
Yes.
you. Technology.
Renee, where are you from in District 7610?
I'm with the North Stafford Rotary Club. We're
Okay.
just below Quantico, kind of halfway between DC and Richmond.
Awesome. My son's in the Rotary Club of Warrington. So it's in your area.
Yeah, right down the road. Well, right down the road.
Yeah. As my daughter says, it's just 15 minutes away.
Yeah. With
Right.
traffic, 2 hours,
Yeah.
but that's fine.
Well, good to meet you, Renee.
Good to meet you too.
All right. So I changed headsets twice in the last 10 minutes. So can everybody hear me? So note to self, don't go changing it if it works, okay? Mercy, mercy. We are
I hope
recording.
you're spoofing us because we couldn't hear you there.
You can't hear me? Ashley, can you hear me?
I can hear
I
you.
can hear you,
Alex.
yes.
I can hear you.
Yep.
Billy.
Hmm.
I'll give Billy a second. Who's spoofing whom? Ashley, you can hear me, right? Okay. How about it now, Billy? One, two, three, Billy. 3, 2, 1. 1, 2. Check. So I'll probably just get in a conversation and tell you, Renee, my son just got PCS orders to Quantico, so he'll be coming up for 3 years.
Oh, fantastic. My daughter was in the Marine Corps for a bit, and it was nice when she was at basic school, just having her right here with us. It was awesome.
Yep.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Yeah, it's changed a lot. I did 24 years for him, so.
Oh, wow. Thank you for your service. My husband was also a Marine. What was your MOS?
I flew F4s, A4s, and F-18s.
Wow. Oh my gosh, very cool.
It's just an office with a moving window. It's okay. And 2 tours in the Pentagon and a couple at Quantico, things like that.
Fantastic.
Billy, you got us now? Billy, you got us now? I'm going to start without Billy. I'm going to start without Billy. She's working on it. I'm going to let it go. It's 4 minutes after the hour, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so very much for joining us. Billy, you got me? Okay. Now we're going to start. This class is public image tools. How do you use them? So it's going to be just like the last few. We're going to ask you for some audience participation. And technology is always cool. So I'm going to take this screen and see if I'm smart enough to do it the way I want to. Except I'm like 3 slides into it. Can everybody see just the PowerPoint? Thank you very much. So we're going to start with public image tools and how do you use them. But before we talk about how you use them, we'd like to share with you how the team uses them. So in this session, what we'd like to try to do is provide you with some Sorry, I'm clicking something. One more time. There we go. Discuss common public image tools. You know, both those tools that we use at the zone, at the team, and your district at the team, and those that you might use on your own in the club or at the district. Sharing these documents and tools, both our eyes and yours and ours, it's simply good practice while we try to serve our clubs. And ultimately, that's what we're here for. We're here to serve the club. That is the primary unit in Rotary. It's a learning curve, folks. There we go. So this is our library. And one of the previous classes, they said, hey, throw that into the chat. And occasionally you'll hear this. We'll take a screenshot of it, or I'm recording this, you can get it later. Or I'll simply tell you that I'm just going to mark time a little bit. And if you're one of those people that uses a number 2 pencil, write it down. This is it. This is one of the primary methods to get to the public image page of Zone 3334. And it specifically goes to Zone 33's public image page. And if that challenges you, I'll simply tell you that Zone 33 is South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and moving upwards into Pennsylvania and Delaware. Okay, so it goes the East Coast, but it stops at Georgia. Georgia and Florida are Zone 34, and the Caribbean. And north of that is us. We are Zone 33. Billy showed you this slide in the last presentation, but I'm going to show it to you again. Again, if you use the URL on the top, you'll see it in the first red box. And then further down that screen, you'll see another red box underneath templates and resources. And I know you can't read that right now, so I'm going to show it to you here. It says 2021-2022 PI resources. And that is exactly where we go. Click on that bar and you will get to this page, which is our toolbox. And I'd like to discuss our toolbox for just a little bit. Okay. Our primary tool. It uses, or we maintain it as up to date as we can, and it changes on no set schedule. But some of the things that are in it, you can read here, the voice and visual identity guide that Billy just talked about in the previous class, a messaging guide, the logo guide, the map of Zone 33 and 34 if you need that. It has over 25 different folders or items in it at any one given time. That's what's in there now. Some of them actually are previous versions. And we keep those in there because I personally think that a previous version may say that if there are 2 versions or multiple versions, you're going to have the same basic idea or thought process, because we're not reimagining public image necessarily. But you may find a different syntax, if you will, that will make more sense to you as you're doing a presentation. So some of those previous issues are in there so that you can see them. That may make sense to you as well. So look at it often, look at it and just rummage through it a little bit. And if you need help with things, we've already referenced it. Oh, you can find that here. We have that, whatever it was, here. And that is normally found in this toolbox. Our number 1 choice of what to look at in our toolbox is what Billy just talked about, the Rotary Voice and Visual Identity Guide. Okay. This is what she showed you. This is a 43-page document that is extremely comprehensive from what RI wants us to do as a club and how to present ourselves to our neighbors and our communities. It's not just how to create a signature block or a lockup or a master brand, but it's also how to present ourselves as an organization. You know, how to join us. Is it worth joining us? And as importantly, is it worth staying with us? Those things are in there. These are some of the things that are in it. And this is basically a snippet of the table of contents. The first half of this book actually is summarization of our organization, our beliefs, our strategy, our brand, which Billy talked about. It defines us, and it gives you, as Billy mentioned, those key words and those key phrases that will help you capture what Rotary International thinks of itself. And I don't mean that in a flippant way. I mean, Rotary International has gone to great lengths to define us and brand us. And if we can use those things in our daily conversations and presentations, it will aid in growing a commonality with our brand and a recognition of our brand, whether we're talking about our voice, our messaging, our logos, whatever it is. The second half of the book is a little more technical, and it starts down with logos, signature systems, the lockups I referred to, and a lockup again is the master brand with, you know, directly underneath it, it's going to say the Club of Franklin Daybreak, which is Billy's club, or something like that, or the District 7570, something like that. And also shows the color palette. So the second half of the book is much more a reference guide, if you will. But the first half, I would tell you, is extremely interesting reading. I urge you to read it. It is a reference tool, but it's worth downloading and reading. Check it out for us. This is our #1 suggestion. It even includes, whoever was asking, how to mark up a polo shirt. So it's in there. It's available to us. It's an extremely valuable tool. This is our #1 suggestion in our toolbox. Our second choice is the Rotary Vision Statement. And you've seen that on every presentation so far. You're going to see it again here. Okay. It is indeed what we want you to mention at every turn. And I'm going to tell you personally, I don't necessarily want you to force the club membership to dive in and commit it to memory. I think when we stand up, and I'm going to go radical here on you, I think when we stand up at the end of the meeting and recite the 4-way test, all I can envision is my father's Rotary Club in 1963. I would much rather you not recite things. I would much rather you feel them and live them and present them through what we do. I think the same thing about this. However, there are lots of us that can quote it, but I will show you a different way to do that, if you will, if you'll just bear with me just a second. So I'm going to read it to you. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. But what happens if you use this as a kickoff to a, hey, Alex, what's Rotary all about? Rotary? Well, Rotary is this organization that, you know, actually we see it as an opportunity for people to unite and try to create a lasting change, not just a little bit of change, a lasting change. And we do that in our community. And whether we define that community as our neighborhood or the state or the region or the entire globe, it doesn't matter. Rotary creates and produces lasting change. Let me tell you more about my club. And you can use it as a lead-in without necessarily quoting it. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. We just would like for you to use this every possible way you can to reference what we do in Rotary. So I have a question for you. Is one of your tools an elevator speech? And as a public image chair at the club or the district level, do you push on that? Because it is a perishable skill, right? Would everybody agree with that? It is definitely a perishable skill. So let me show you one. And let me ask you to think it through as you watch this and see if you can come up with some goods and others for us. All right. Now let me see if technology is really going to work.
Alex, we aren't hearing audio with it.
Okay, I'll skip it. I don't know how to fix it. Sorry, folks. It was a failed attempt at an elevator speech. So we'll go past that and simply ask you if you've got some challenges for an elevator speech. And here's what that video was. The first thing I talked about was polio and the fact that, oh yeah, we've been involved in this thing since '79. Yeah, we're getting closer. Oh yeah, we're getting there. You know, And then I talked about picking up trash on the side of the road. And then I talked about ringing the red kettle for a Christmas event. And the next Rotarian in the group didn't relieve me on time. But it was good. It's good. It's all about service. And I just kind of ended with, yeah, we're doing Zoom now, so I'll pass your information to the club secretary and they'll get in touch with you. I got to go. And I walked off. And the presentation was a complete failure in an elevator speech, completely. So what I'd like to try to suggest as a PI tool is that you use this as a recurring theme throughout your year. At some point, at least do it once, maybe more, because again, I'll use the term, it's a perishable event. And everybody's got a different style. There is not a perfect elevator speech or a welcome to Rotary, but it often happens to us cold. And it's often extremely hard to do that dance if you're not capable of doing it, and if you haven't thought it through. All right. So there's no need to goods and others, my little funny video. So I'll move past that and simply tell you that those are the tools that we recommend. So I'll recap. The voice and visual guide is hugely important. Our vision statement and our essence statements are not replacements for the four-way test, nor are they replacements for, service above self, but they do amplify what we do as an organization. And it allows you to talk much deeper than just saying, oh yeah, we're service above self. Yeah, we're service, 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 service. If you really think about it, 1905, they started because they wanted to network, not because they wanted to go out and do service projects for people. So don't lose track of the entirety of the picture. Tell me what you do for you. Tell me what happens in your club. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that we can see each other again. And I'll ask you what you do in your district and in your club that is actually a positive. How do you use your tools, and what are your tools? Anyone? Tough crowd.
Okay, I'll go. We use, hi.
Yay.
Renee with my club is in North Stafford, Virginia, and we use social media a lot to and like our core thing for social media is the suggested public imaging. We share some videos straight from Rotary International. I follow every club in our area. I follow the district and we follow the zones and Rotary International. So we're able to share some other stuff that's a lot more professional than what we could ever put together. It makes it look like it comes from us. So I really like that. I love using that type of thing. So I'm really big myself on social media. I just believe that it's a fun, engaging way to bring in the kind of age group that we're really searching for right now. And so we tend to use that. That's kind of our tools.
So let's talk about that age group. Who's, because I think that age group may have different definitions depending upon where you're sitting and where you're living. So
I think for us, we're looking for young professionals in our area. We have, I think our biggest issue with diversity right now is age. We're wonderfully diverse in our club as far as all the other kind of wickets, but really age is going to be, I think, the place where we need to focus. We need to get some younger Rotarians that have some technical skills so that they can maybe bring that to the table, but also you tend to have a little bit more energy in the group when you have younger people involved as well, and that invigorates everyone. That's never a negative thing. So we don't sway away from anybody in particular, but we really are striving right now to get some younger professionals. I'm talking in the 30s, 40s age range.
That's wonderful target. Anyone else? Is anyone targeting anything else? I'd say there's an opportunity. Hey, go ahead.
Hey, Bob Wolfong again. I think
Hey,
for
you.
us, good. And thank you again for doing this, folks. I liked that elevator speech. That's already a helpful takeaway for me.
Well, I'm going to try real hard to figure out how to put audio on it here before we leave.
Okay. I think for us as well, we're in a predominantly a community that is a lot of people that are white. And I would love to have more diversity of people of color, and how to get to people of color when I don't know the best way to do that. So I'm kind of hungry for that. I think telling people stories of why they joined Rotary is really powerful. And you kind of touched on it with the elevator speech of just telling people what you get out of it is really valuable. And I'm looking forward to trying to lean into that more as it become a more active member of the club.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think it's a perishable thing. I keep using that term. I don't want to wear it out, but it doesn't matter if you've been in Rotary for a month or 20 years. If somebody walks up to you on the street and says, "Hey, what's Rotary?" There's this hesitation. I'm able to wear very comfortable, casual clothes when I'm working sometimes. And there have been several occasions that the person sitting next to me looks over and says, "Hey, what is this Rotary thing?" And it shocks me each and every time. And I've had some success. I've actually had 2 different people join Rotary because I had them as a captured audience for a while. And I'll tell you, I fly airplanes for a living. So if they're in the cockpit with me for 6 hours, you know, and they can't get away from me, I can talk about Rotary for a long time. But that initial 10-second shock that's like they really want to know something about it is extremely uncomfortable while I stutter. So I always try to focus on the fact that this is very hard to do. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are. It doesn't matter if they call you the public image coordinator for a district, for zones, for anything. It's hard. So I was going to really try to focus on that. And actually, as I just kind of dance a little bit because my video failed me, would anyone like to, here's cold for you. Who wants to give me a elevator speech? Anyone? I said, Renee, your eyes lit up. It's like, no, not at all, right? It's difficult.
I don't want to give an elevator speech, but Dawn Quanta, I'm not sure who she is. I may be pronouncing her name, or I had her hand raised.
Oh, so sorry.
There's some, Dawn, are you out there? Dawn?
Yes, Quanta Dawnlight, yes.
Thank you, Quanta. And so your first name is Quanta.
Yes.
She has her hand raised. And then I'll tell you my story.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, I guess I am a Rotary Miracle member. I have joined Rotary 2016, and I was going to their meetings for almost 6 months or maybe a little longer. And there is no limit as to how young or old you are. And I think that station in life is irrelevant. And the reason I'm sharing these things is that I'm not the richest person on earth. And I do have a degree in environmental studies. And I was in the most difficult period in my life as somebody had a table at the United Nations Day in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I went and I said, "Oh, Rotary. I have a friend who's a Rotary." This person has invited me, and like I said, I was 70 years old. Okay, and now I'll be 75 in June. And so do not think that somebody that's 70 years old, it might not be the richest person on earth or most prominent or popular, that they cannot make a contribution to this wonderful organization. I truly love Rotary because I call Rotary a religion on wheels
Well
with
said.
action. Religion on wheels with action. I even made a little song about Rotary. So I think it is best that we as individuals and as members of the Rotary perhaps widen and deepen our own understanding who can be a contributive member. Now, I'll be the president next year, and I'm saying this as an inspiration, not to impress you, but to inspire you. And I became a distinguished Rotarian, Paul Harris Fellow, and now I'll be the president. And trust me, it will be the last thing on earth if you ask me in 2015 if this would happen to me. So I do believe that. Thank you so much for Jean Stewart and Philip, who has invited me to become a member. I was just visiting and cleaning the tables after the meeting. I wasn't even a member. I just wanted to help my friend who was a secretary who had to stay. And I said, you know, everybody's eating and I'll just clean tables. And I always joke. I started really by cleaning tables.
That's
So,
amazing.
so if that inspires you to invite people and give them the opportunity to show their latent capacities, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
What an amazing story. And I think what I just heard is that the biggest tool we've got is ourselves. Really. I mean, what an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And congratulations. And we look forward to hearing everything about your year as president as we come out of COVID.
Thank you.
What an awesome challenge to have moved that quickly. And I'm sure you're up to it. I can tell already from the passion in your voice, you are completely up to the challenge. So Joe, you got a hand, Joe? Is that Joe?
Oh, I think that's a wonderful, and I saw Sue Ann there. Sorry, Sue Ann, just very briefly. I think that's Quantum. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think too, I believe it was Bob's point. It's when we avail our clubs to being open to many different people, look at the great people that come into our clubs. And I know that every one of your clubs has somebody probably self-describes themselves like Quanta did, where it's like, hey, I'm not the mayor, I'm not the congressperson, but I just want to help. And those people are the glue that holds Rotary together. But if we don't open our doors, bud, we're out of glue. So thank you, Quanta, for sharing, and Bob for that point about being inclusionary and all that. That is one of our key challenges as public image folks, is let the message be heard. The doors are open for everybody, and we are not apologetic about that in any way. So sorry, Sue, you had a question there.
Oh yeah, okay. I was making sure I wasn't muted. Yeah, and that's fine. You know, we're talking about toolkits, and you know, I have multiple passions in Rotary, and one of them is RLI. And I know that's big in our zone. And I recall one of the first sessions I facilitated, and I just can't remember offhand if it was 1, 2, or 3, is we work on the elevator speech. But I wonder, now that I've got, you know, a little different mindset hitting it as a PI chair, how much input our curriculum committee at RLI has from the PI committee and developing the public image. And I see the big 0 going up, and I get that. Just because I was the district grants chair for our district for like 4 years or so. And sometimes I see a little disconnect in that as well. So maybe that's something I can help contribute, is making sure that the regional public image committee and public image leaders have more input in that curriculum, because I think it would be helpful. Because some of the things I heard, and I agree with you that doesn't make the best elevator speech, was kind of encouraged, and you know, let's practice elevator speeches. And everyone talked about, we're a worldwide organization dedicated to the eradication of polio. That's a major snooze fest for most people these days. They just don't get it. You know, try to talk to a 20-year-old about polio, they're clueless. So I had that comment about, you know, RLI, because I love RLI. I think it's a good training for people.
I agree completely. The first membership committee, or the first join our Rotary Club event we had with 30 outsiders, I did the primary speaking role. and I spent 75% of the time on polio.
Yeah.
And it was a complete failure on my part. And I had no idea what I was doing until I got further along in my Rotary career and realized that to try to get someone to join my Rotary Club, they need to hear what we're doing in this community. And you've heard me, if you were with us on the last one, I say this a lot, my community, whether it's local, regional, or international, it's still my community. But the community they want to hear about is the one that's sending food to the local elementary school, and the one that's providing service to the elderly down at the nursing home, and the one that's providing scholarships. And this club doing these things in this community is what will make someone, I think, is what will draw someone to Rotary to get more information and or join if you do it right. Not the fact that we're down to Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Right.
Not yet. Not yet. I don't mean to ignore it, but I mean that it's not the primary target.
Right. Shouldn't be your lead off.
Correct. Correct. Ashley, you have a hand up.
Yeah, I think just hearing everyone speak, it's a good reminder that not one tactic is going to work for every person. And that's why, just like any kind of shed everyone has or workshop anyone has, you have to have all the tools in your box. And so for some, the elevator pitch and the one-on-one conversations may work. We also know that not everyone's going to become a Rotarian, but you want other organizations and people in town to think highly of Rotary. Like, you want a good public image because they may attend your events, they may sponsor an event, they may do other things. And so just making sure we're using all the tools, whether that is radio, TV, if it comes up. It's, again, using the brand like we're supposed to. It's having a good story and talking this through, but having one thing isn't going to necessarily fit everyone's need and everyone's interest at the time. And so I think hearing everyone talk about all the pieces, it's really finding which combination will work best when you're approaching either a member of the public, an organization, or someone in your community, depending on what the ask is. It's really important to use the right tool at the right time.
Valid. I'm not adverse to failing twice. And I would like to try this video again. And Ashley is telling me in the background that I had a button out of place. And I'm challenged anyway. I'm not challenged, but I use an Apple product and most people don't. So if y'all will allow me, let me get back into that PowerPoint and see if I can fail one more time or if we have some amazing success. And Ashley, let's talk in public a second. There's a add sound button somewhere while I'm on the share screen page. Is that correct? Yes, on a PC, it is in the bottom left-hand corner. I cannot guarantee where Apple put it. It's at the same place. I just had never seen it, and I apologize for that. So let's try it again, folks. Can we? Y'all, somebody nod at me. Oh my gosh. To share your computer audio, please install the, really? Can y'all still hear me? You still hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So Ashley, tell me if you got audio out of this. Hey, John, how you doing? Rotary. Yeah, I'm in Rotary. Oh, absolutely. What do we do? Well, I'd say the biggest thing we do actually is trying to eradicate polio. That's worldwide, trying to get rid of that crippling disease. You know, we've been at that since late 80s. We're getting there. You know, it's an annual fight, but we're making progress. So soon, real soon. Other things we do worldwide is we dig wells, we build schools, we provide microloans to people that need a little bit of money. That's pretty neat. Most of us don't get a chance to get out there and see that because it's all overseas, but that's pretty good. You know, it's service. It's a service organization. Oh, locally? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One of the biggest things we do is out here on US 21. It's, you know, we pick up trash. We got our sign, our name on the road sign saying that we sponsor a section of road. Yeah. We go out there and pick up trash about every 2 months. It's not bad. It's actually kind of fun. You know, people throw trash at you sometimes, but nobody's been hit yet. So we're doing okay with that too. You know, and we ring the bell for Red Kettle, you know, during the holiday season. Yeah, man, I tell you what, it was cold last year, but it was okay. And the guy that was coming in behind me ran a little late, so I was out there longer than normal, but it's okay. Like I say, it's fun. It's service organization. We try to feed the hungry. We try to provide something for the kids at school. It's all pretty neat. But tell you what, we're meeting by Zoom right now, so I'll have the club secretary send you an email. I got your email somewhere, so I'll get it to her and she'll send it to you. We meet on Tuesdays at noon, okay? So I hope to see you in the little square on Zoom. All right, talk to you later. I gotta get on this flight right down here. All right, see you. All right.
I think I've given that speech before.
Well, I know I have, you know, and again, we started with, and I just walked through all my failures. You know, we started at the international, I started on the international level, and all I kept saying was service. That's all we do is service, you know, service, and people that don't show up on time to replace me. And honestly, the rude people that are driving down the road, has anybody ever picked up trash on the side of the road? It is, honestly, they throw trash out in front of you. I don't know what your group that is, but I think they believe that's funny. It had, that 2 minutes had nothing to do with Rotary, really. And would you have joined that club? No. You know,
No.
I've got your email somewhere and I'll send it to somebody else so they can get in touch with you, and I got to go. Okay. So again, not to take over, and Billy tells me I take over the conversations all the time, and that's okay. But try this instead. Have you ever tried this instead of, so go back to your own location, your own neighborhood, your own community. And let me ask you 2 or 3 questions, rhetorical in nature. The person that lives 2 doors down from you, if you know their name, do they know anything about Rotary? And why haven't you gone down and said hello to them or knocked on their door? Now, this is life without COVID, okay? Knocked on their door or seen them in the grocery store and said, hey, why don't you come to my Rotary Club? And don't tell them it starts, and do it this way. We meet Tuesdays at noon. How about I come pick you up and take you to my Rotary Club? Instead of simply saying, we meet at noon, you know, at the local whatever restaurant, you just come on in. It's free for you, but you'll have to tell them that at the door. Go pick them up. Be a person of action. Pick them up, drag them to the club, and don't say anything about joining. Just have them there at the club and take them home and thank you very much. And a couple of weeks later, ask them if they want to go back. I think that's a whole lot easier than I'll see you in the little Zoom corner, you know, and my secretary will get in touch with your secretary and we'll schedule your commitment to show up. So it was just a fun little thing to do. I was actually standing in the middle, as you could see, but standing in the middle of a Delta Airlines area of a airport at about 4 in the morning. And I thought it was going to be quiet. And it wasn't people walking all over me, but I appreciate that. It was a good, fun little thing to do. Anyway.
I have a question. Does anybody else have a good way to close their elevator pitch? Like, I've heard some really interesting Rotary elevator pitches in my time, but I want to know, does anybody have a cool way to close it out and get them to commit to joining you for a meeting, joining you for an event, joining you for a roadside cleanup, hopefully, and you don't get battered like so many first persons do when they do it? You know, anybody got an idea on how to close it?
You put a call to action, and no matter what it is that you have coming up, and just like Alex suggested, making that offer. So the closeout would be, hey, can I pick you up this Wednesday for our meeting? You know, it's something like that, where it's like I said, the call to action. They're either going to tell you, no, it's not good. And then you try to, well, what about next week, and get something going, versus leaving it, well, you know, here's my email, because that's just not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I love that idea too. A call to action is really a great idea. I think also newsletters. I don't know if getting them on the newsletter list or giving them a physical hard copy of a newsletter might be a nice way to round it up too, to get them more interested. I
Bob,
think
I'll
they,
put you on the spot. Bob,
yeah.
what is the free CRM system that you guys have within your Rotary universe that's available to you? Is there a free
DAX
CRM?
TV.
That's right, buddy. They just
DAX TV,
upgraded that
yeah.
thing. So now it's like a fully functioning, for those that aren't familiar, CRM system, like a lead management system. So your club could use that. So that's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up, man.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a good way to close those out? Like, what is your call to, is it join me for a meeting? Is it come to my next roadside? Does somebody have some other way of looping them in or getting them? Ashley's really good at this from what I hear too, so.
Well, we're going to talk about it at 4.
That's great.
All the story stuff. Alex is over here stealing my session. No, I'm joking.
Right, Billy stole mine.
We're priming, we're building on it, so.
But we'll talk about the call to action, the closeout piece there. Because again, like I said before, not everyone's going to be a Rotarian. And guess what, people? That's okay, right? And so I think a lot of times we get stuck in this world where PI equals membership. And they're related. They are most certainly related. But there are a lot of other ways that people can engage in, with Rotary without being a Rotarian, and understand that some people just may not be in the life spot to be a Rotarian right now, and that's perfectly fine too. And so I think, it's finding out your pitch has to be appropriate to the right person at the right time. Or I think it was Bob that said the newsletter. Inviting them to follow your club on social media or to follow you on social media so they see what you're doing. It's all brain science. People aren't going to do something the first time you ask. They have to see it over and over and over again. So using all the tools we have, using your social media, using your newsletter, using, again, your one-on-one conversations, using your pins so they just keep seeing it everywhere. And they're like, oh, that person's a Rotarian and that person's a Rotarian. Oh my gosh, that person's a Rotarian. I know everyone and they're all Rotarians, right? And so again, it's that combination of stuff before we actually get to the point of making the ask. It's just like business, folks. It's the same kind of funnel you follow in business.
I might add that I'm originally from Istanbul, Turkey. I've been in the United States 50 years. So my challenge has been, even from my own family back home, is that Rotary has this image of being a upper class and secret society. And I'm sure you all know that. So when I say that I'm a Rotarian, they're asking me, well, what's going on with you? So how did you become a member of such a secret society? They even call me some degree of Mason, all kinds of things. And I say, what are you guys talking about? So there is a misconception at a global scale. Like I was in Toronto and Hamburg, and I did run across Turkish Rotarians, and then I asked him, how do you overcome that at home? So I don't know to what degree that is still the issue here in the United States, but it is, there is a problem with the misperception of Rotary on a global scale.
I agree with that. I've seen that as well. I was able to travel for a lot of times for my work. And I ended up attending Rotary clubs in India and Germany and Asia, all around the world. And the variances are huge with how they accept you, even as a foreigner. But I think I see the United States relaxing a little bit. Again, my daddy's Rotary. My dad joined in '63. Here's a story. My dad joined in '63. And in the early 80s, he had a knee replacement. Up to that point, he had perfect attendance. This is life before the internet and life before online makeups. In that era, a makeup meant you went to another club during that same week. And my dad was laid up for 2 weeks with a new knee, and he missed 2 meetings. And they refused to waive the perfect attendance, and he lost it. That was my daddy's Rotary. And I don't think that's the way of my Rotary now, and I'm very proud of that. So maybe we're making inroads toward moving away from that. The president of the bank, the judge, the lawyer, and with no offense to any of those titles, if they're here in front of me, you know, the colonel, whatever, that's, you know, hopefully we're moving away from that. Let me give you one more tool, and I hope I'm not stealing another piece of Ashley's, but when we meet in person, we normally give away something. And one of the things we give away actually is a pin. And I know you can't see it, but it does say Rotary on it. And it actually came from a brander, because this is Russell Hampton's pin, but it says Rotary. And I give them away and ask people to use them in the restaurant and then leave it on the table when you sign your credit card receipt, because that pin will be stolen by somebody about 3 people later from that waitress or waiter, and it'll end up in somebody else's hands, and it'll make its way around the neighborhood somehow or another. And you never know what kind of advertisement you're going to get out of something this simple. So that's a tool.
That reminds me of another suggestion. I forget where it came from, what training I was on, and that they take the Rotary magazine and block out or put a sticker with their club's information over top the address part and leave it in public places for people to read the magazine.
And I have a twist for that. That magazine costs you $1 a year, and the club can order it for the club. And my club sends that magazine to the local high school's library. And it sends it to, we put the old versions in doctor's offices and dentist offices and things like that, but we literally send it to the high school.
It's good to know.
It costs the club $12. We are quickly approaching the 50-minute mark, and I very much appreciate y'all's patience as I fumble through some technology. I'm always willing to learn something, and you know what? You just smile and do it. You know, it doesn't affect me. We're all volunteers here. But thank you for your patience and your participation. Has anyone got something else to add to the final comments other than the team? And then I'll let the team say something as they need to.
Just thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. You've been here all day long. I appreciate that. Our next session, as you see, will start at the top of the hour, and we're going to go mute and dark, and we will see you there. Thanks very much. I hope to see some of you again in just a few minutes. Thanks.